film fans, I'm Jack Benner, and welcome to my review of Interstellar. Interstellar is a 2014 sci-fi film directed by the one and only Christopher Nolan, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, and Michael Caine. Set in the future where Earth is dying with a shortage of crops and dust storms, a pilot named Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, and his daughter Murph discover coordinates, and that leads to NASA. He also discovers that they're doing a space mission with interstellar travel through a wormhole for the possibility of a more habitable Earth, and so he has to leave his kids behind to hopefully accomplish the mission. I remember back in 2014, this was my most anticipated movie of that year. Christopher Nolan is easily one of my favorite filmmakers working today, if not my favorite filmmaker working today. Anything he's doing I instantly want to see, and I thought this looked like an interesting follow-up to the Dark Knight trilogy, and I thought he did a phenomenal job concluding that trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises. And I saw this movie opening night with my brother in 35mm film. Interstellar is probably Christopher Nolan's most polarizing movie in my opinion. There are some people who absolutely love that movie, some people who liked it but didn't love it or thought it was okay, which is probably why this movie is in the 70s on Rotten Tomatoes. I have watched this movie about 4 to 5 times throughout the years, and upon rewatch, I love Interstellar. Do I think it is a masterpiece and one of my top tier Nolan movies? Not quite. This is one of the Nolan movies I love the least. Nevertheless, I think Interstellar is a great film. First, Christopher Nolan did a great job directing this movie. This movie is visually phenomenal. The outer space sequences through the wormhole are absolutely jaw-dropping and just blew me away. I love seeing the different planets they go to, the ice planet, and this one particular planet that is like this huge wave. Even though I can tell Christopher Nolan had to use CGI effects here and there are still a lot of practical effects used in this movie. The spacecraft in this movie were practical, along with the locations. They shot on actual locations that amazed me. And I also loved watching the behind the scenes of how they did TARS and how they moved him around. And the story in this movie, I thought was very interesting and had a lot of ambition to it. The beginning of this movie was set up perfectly. I love the beginning of the dying Earth and mankind is struggling down there. I cared a lot for McConaughey and his family life back home. Thought that added a lot of heart before the mission began. While I don't think this movie is as complex as Inception, and I predict Tenet will be more complex than this, I thought there were a lot of interesting ideas that put in this film. Could definitely tell Christopher Nolan is using a lot of inspiration from 2001: A Space Odyssey, since he said that it is one of his favorite movies of all time. Something that absolutely carries this movie is Matthew McConaughey in the lead. He is fantastic in this movie. This is one of my top 3 Matthew McConaughey performances. Number 3 would be this, number 2 would be Mud, and number 1 would be his Oscar-winning performance in Dallas Buyers Club. I cared so much for his character, and he definitely delivered on the emotional scenes as well. And the one particular scene that gets me every time, and if you've seen this movie, you know what scene I'm talking about, is when they get off the first planet of the giant wave. While the astronauts were a couple hours on that planet, on Earth, 23 years, and how this movie used the theory of relativity. And then Matthew McConaughey's character watches the videos of his kids growing up throughout those 23 years. That was so heartbreaking. That really got me. And the acting for Matthew McConaughey was incredible during that scene. I almost cried during that scene. And another powerful scene in this movie was the last time he saw his daughter Murph before he has to leave for the mission. It was pretty powerful and both great acting in that scene. And the supporting cast in this movie is very good. Anne Hathaway does a good job, Jessica Chastain as older Murph is great, and even Timothée Chalamet was in this movie. And then after this movie, throughout the years, in Call Me By Your Name, Little Women, and he is going to be in The French Dispatch from Wes Anderson, and Dune from Denis Villeneuve, and he's just one of the most talented young actors working today. And also another great Michael Caine performance in a Nolan movie. I love it when they collaborate. And Michael Caine has one heartbreaking scene that is on par with him at the end of The Dark Knight Rises. And Hans Zimmer's musical score in this movie is amazing. Definitely one of my favorite Hans Zimmer scores for a Christopher Nolan movie. Big, epic, and memorable. And also the music for the docking sequence, No Time for Caution, absolutely incredible. In 2001: A Space Odyssey, HAL 9000 was a very sinister character. And there is a robot character in this movie, but it's the complete opposite. He's a welcome comic relief character, to which I never felt like the comedy in this movie was distracting. And he was also helpful to the team as well. Now, there is something that is hit and miss with a lot of people in this movie. The cameo from Matt Damon. Now, back when I saw this movie in theaters, I did not see that coming. I didn't know Christopher Nolan was building up this surprise cameo in this movie. And when they got into that icy planet and they saw Dr. Man's pod in there, and when it was opening up to someone, I was like, wait, who could that be? Who could that... Wait. Oh my god. Is that... Matt Damon! Matt Damon is in a Christopher Nolan movie? Finally! I got so excited because I've always wanted to see Matt Damon in a Christopher Nolan movie. And at first he seems like a good guy, but to the part where he eventually betrays the team, that shocked me. And to be honest, I like the role that Matt Damon played in this movie. It wasn't the typical role that I've seen Matt Damon play before, this antagonist who turns out to be a coward. I really liked it, and I felt like that worked into the story pretty well, and I didn't really have a problem with it. And now for the ending of this movie, which is one of the reasons why this movie can be divisive. I really liked the ending, and the climax of this movie definitely had me in awe. Definitely the emotional parts that I loved and wrapped up things pretty well. And luckily I was able to understand it on multiple viewings and get it pretty well. And I actually do rewatching this movie and thinking, oh, this would eventually do this and this would eventually lead to that. Sadly, I do have a few minor issues with this movie, so I'll get to those right now. First, there is one certain conversation between Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, and she's talking about how love binds the whole universe together, and that whole conversation, to me, came off as pretty cheesy. That is easily my least favorite scene in the movie, and when she was talking about love, I was just like, I'm not really buying this, no. And second, with the ending of the movie, not perfect, I felt like there were a few missed opportunities. With the twist of who Murph's ghost was, which was set up at the beginning of the film, the actual twist itself, I actually don't mind. I thought it was heartfelt and touching. I really liked it. However, I wish they went for a more visual storytelling route. I felt like it could have been shown rather than told, which kind of underwhelmed me. Overall, while not one of my favorite Christopher Nolan films, I love Interstellar. Grand visuals, top-notch cast, incredible musical score, riveting story, and plenty of ambition. And overall, I am going to give Interstellar 4.5 stars out of 5, an A. Even with its flaws, I still found Interstellar an amazing and riveting sci-fi film from Christopher Nolan. So what do you guys think about Interstellar? Do you agree? Disagree with me? Let me know below. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot. I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.